Hello developers, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about drag and drop. Drag and drop is one of the greatest way to enhance the user experience in your website. It's very intuitive for someone to drag an object or something on the page and drop it to a different place to move that or doing that transition. A very typical usage is in a Trello or Jira ticket, Jira board. When you look at the board and you say, okay, it's in a to-do and it's already in progress, or it's already from progress to done, you can just drag that. Another typical usage is the file uploading. You can drag something from your desktop and drop it into the uploading area, and it's starting to upload. It's a great way to enhance your experience. And historically, it's pretty difficult to achieve. Even this looks like very easy to, or like for the user, it's very easy, but to implement that, it's typically not that straightforward. And today, I'd like to introduce the Pragmatic Drag-and-Drop library that is developed by Atlassian design system team, and it has been used in lots of Atlassian products like Jira, Trello, Confluence, and many others. And also it's an open source library, and many other places are using that, I guess. And since it's already a product proof library, you can easily use that or without worrying about the performance or the bugs, because it's already been used widely. Atlassian design system team has already done a fantastic work on the documents, and you can have a quick look at on the page. There's some tutorial and examples. I think one thing could be improved on the document of the pdnd is maybe explain a little bit more on the basic concept, which is exactly the topic I'm going to cover on this video. So you will have a solid understanding of the core concepts, and so later on it will help you to bring the library into your product much easier. So for the capabilities or the benefit of using the library, it's already been listed or well described on the document. Like it's very small, tiny library, and it's very performance focused, and also it's using the native API, so you don't have to worry about the cross-browser or compatible thing. And if you wonder how it works under the hood, Alex Redden, who is one of the authors of the library, has made this video, so you can have a look if you're really keen to understand what is going on under the hood. But it's not our main concern in this video, because we are going to touch some fundamental concepts and building blocks, so you can easily use that in your own product or your projects. There are a lot of information on the website. There's a core package, there are a few objects or concepts in here, and because it's a framework agnostic library, so that means you can use that almost in anywhere when you need a drag and drop experience. That also means it's very it has a lot of concept to understand first, because it's very flexible. And there is a section called optional packages, which has a few utilities and helper functions and other things you might need when you want to build your component, when you need to build your drag and drop experience. And there's some other stuff like design guidelines, accessibility stuff. And in this video, we're going to talk about the very basic concept of the pdnd, and later on you can apply these concepts into your case. And yeah, let's get started. So the example we are going to use in this video is this board application. As you can see, it's pretty much like a Trello or a Jira you might have already familiar with. It has 3 columns, and in each column it has a few cards, and all of them belongs to a board. And obviously that it doesn't have any interactions on the element. If you now drag, it's just selecting the content, and yeah, it's nothing fancy happening here. And if we look at the code structure, basically the application is an outermost component. It has a provider and a board component. The provider is accessing this JSON data. It has a name, columns, which has the 3 columns, and in the first one it's called to do, and it has 3 cards, ID1, ID2, ID3. And for the second one, it has only 1 card, and the third one doesn't have any card. This is a data structure, and it is exposed to the React component through this provider. So we can ignore this provider, simply just reading the JSON data and expose that to the board. So if we look at the board, so basically we'll use the board hook to get the JSON data, and then for each column, it will render the name and the columns. For each column, it will check how many cards in the column. If it has 0, it will render something invisible yet, but we will address that in a minute. But the most important part is the card list. So if the card length greater than 0, we will render a list of card. And for the card, it's simply a IOI element. At the moment, it has a span to showing the ID and also a title. It has some gradient on the background, but that should be fine. It's just a simple React static component, and at the moment it doesn't do nothing. So let's say this is your application and you want to bring the drag and drop experience into your application. And the thing you need to do is firstly, you will need the core library or the core package. If you're using the yarn, you feel free to do that. But I'm using the npm package management, so I will just go to my project and npm install, save the package. Right? So we might need some of the optional libraries in the following videos, but for this one, we'll just talk about the foundation ideas. So we're just in that core library. And once we have this, we can go to the card component. And because the pdnd is a framework agnostic library, we need a way to access the underlying DOM element instead of doing that in a React way, because it doesn't have any knowledge about React. So in React, you do that through a reference. So we'll need a ref and use ref, and initially it was now, obviously, and then we will assign the ref to the element you want to drag. Let's say this one, the li, is the element we want to access. This is the very first step. We'll obviously need this ref at the runtime. And React will make sure that reference is pointing to the underlying element, DOM element. The step 2 is use the use effect to register all the event handlers, like when you drag and drop, it will happen, or it will register all the event handlers to the DOM element. So firstly, let's access that element from here. We say element is the ref.current, and once we have this element, we can use the Draggable API from the pdnd library. Draggable is API we can call, and then we pass in the element to the Draggable. And obviously, because Draggable will attach a few event handlers, and at the end of the life cycle of the card component, like when it unmounting, we need to clean up, like unregister or remove all the event handlers. So in React, obviously we can use a cleanup function. So basically, we need to remove all the event handlers. And because it's already a very popular problem, so Draggable is already returning the cleanup function itself. So if we simply do this, that means the Draggable return a cleanup, and then inside the user effect, we return that cleanup function, and that function will be called when the card is unmounting. So basically, that will clean up everything it registered. That's exactly what we need. And for some reason, it's always importing from the adapter, which is not true. It should import from the element adapter. What is that? This element now is not assignable. Okay, I guess it's like if element is now. Sorry, if it's now, we do nothing. And otherwise, we will use this Draggable. All right, so let's have a look at the UI. On the surface, it doesn't look like much change, but if you drag that, any of the card, you can see that something is following my my cursor. It's exactly the Draggable is doing now. So it's great. Like we can drag, even like it's not dropping anything yet. But yeah, you can see it has some fancy stuff already. It's just like a few lines of code, which is great. And the next thing I like to show you is the callbacks. I think it's very important to understand how and when the callback is being called when you drag the component around. So the very first one we could use is on drag. That means let's say console.log drag, and then in the browser, if we drag any of the card, let's see the ID 1, if I drag, you can see it's repeatedly being called when I drag, and if I stop and release, it will stop. Another one we need a lot is on drop. Basically, that means you stop dragging, you just released or dropped. When you see drop, we can see if I drag, it's calling, and then I stop, it's being called after I release the mouse after a few milliseconds. Drag and stop, drag and stop. And you can see the drag is being called constantly and repeatedly. If you only want to register the keys that only happened on the beginning of the drag, you can do on drag start. That's pretty straightforward. You do this on drag start. This, let's say drag stop, and we don't need the on drag because we probably don't need this in our example at all. So we do this. When it start, we print out the start, and when stop is stop. So now let's clean the console here, and the drag is started and then stop. Drag, start, stop. Drag, start, and stop. Yeah, that's basically about the timing of when the component the function being called, and we can use these status to making some UI change so that it will be more easier for user to say that something is happening. So we could introduce a state called, I don't know, called is dragging, dragging set dragging, And when we started to drag, we say set it to true, and when it stopped, we set it to false, right? And then we can use this is dragging status in a UI here. And then we can say is dragging. If it does, we'll show opacity 50%, and then otherwise we do nothing. So that means when we start to drag, it will change the opacity of the element, and when we release, it will move it back to a normal color. And let's see how it goes. Now if I move, you can see the ID1 under this dragging object is tend to gray, and if I release, it's go back. This one as well, this one as well. Yeah, that's a great way to give some visual clue to the user that you are doing some operation. Currently, if I drag this element, it will show exactly what I'm dragging. But in some cases, you might want to show a different preview when you drag. This thing is under the drag is called preview. So we could use and the pdnd has already provided a great API to allow you to define a customized preview. So we can use on generate drag preview here. We can see set customize customer native drag preview, which accepting a object, and the first one is the native set drag image, and the other one is a render. We could do this, yeah, and for the render, it will call back us with a container object. It will pass in the container to us, and we can hold that variable and then display the variable when needed. So for instance, we can define a state as something like this, const preview, set preview, is use state, yeah, initially it will be empty, and then in here we could set preview the container. I don't know, sorry, it should be a HTML element or now, and initially it was now, and the pdnd will call back us to set the container as the prop variable, and we will need to set preview to now when it's stopped dragging. Let's set preview to now. Right, so now we could use the preview variable in the UI here. And now let's define a preview component. Let's call it card preview. It's a component that accepting a card. Card is card type, right? And we return a UI, and yeah, pretty much like this, but we can make it different a little bit. Card.title, and it has a few fancy stuff. We just use some of them here. The li has the class. Obviously we don't need these dragging status at all, so it will be something like this. But we also don't want this background ingredient. Let's make it background red maybe, and the text color is white, right? And then in here we say if the preview is available, we'll create a portal with a card preview, passing the card, to it and with the preview, right? Okay, so now the preview will be set as true when we drag and drop, and the pdnd will try to pass in this container to us, and then we can render it with the cut preview, and when it's dropped, we will set it as now, so it will be removed on the DOM. Yeah, let's have a look at the result. All right, let's have a look at the result. So if we now drag, looks pretty cool. It's already here. The preview is, the text is not taking effect. Okay, its text color is not. Okay, let's remove this line. And we probably don't need this either. Let's have a look at the preview. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We probably don't need the li here anyways. We can make it as a div. And the paragraph, maybe we will make it like width 72 or something like that. And then let's move it again and see the and you can see the preview is changed. And obviously you can add it as complicated as you want, maybe adding some images or icons to make it more visually appealing. And yeah, that's pretty much about that's pretty much about the video, the content of the video today. We have already covered a few important facts, like how do we define the draggable with the reference, and how do we start and stop the status, and then how do we render a preview dragging status so that we can see the preview panel, customized preview panel. That's pretty much about the video for today, and I will make another one to talk about the drop, because this is the one side of the whole story. We have the drag, and we need to drop it to somewhere else so we can finish the move. But yeah, it's still in a core package, and we will have other videos about the visual indicator when you move, and also the monitoring stuff in the following videos. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next time.